Hi, I'm Cassie.
And I'm Mariah.
And this is the Cassie and Mariah Show, a podcast where two long-distance internet friends, that's us, discuss navigating their 20s through disability and chronic illness. Mariah, our podcast is officially out there in the world.
Yay! If you don't know, we record our podcast 3 weeks-ish in advance. So by the time you're listening to this 4th episode, in real time, this is the week that our trailer came out. And it's a fun feeling to actually be recording with, the intent of almost like other people listening now. Because before the past 3 episodes, we recorded and then just had them ready to go. We're now we're recording this episode and we know people are going to be listening to the first episode, which will come out next week. Even though by the time you're listening to this, it's already going to be out. And so will 3 more episodes be.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's very different because it's like, we started this just because, I don't know, we both love to talk and we have so much to say and it was fun for us. And so it's like, I guess I didn't really have much expectation for what the response would be because that's not why I was doing it, and so it was just like, I don't know, it made this thing that was already meaningful to me, even more special, because, so many people are excited, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because, I feel like we both were doing it where we were both, telling a few friends that we were starting a podcast, like the Kim Kardashian meme. I'm dropping hints that I'm starting a podcast. Hey, guys, I'm starting a podcast. So now we're actually having people that didn't know anything about us starting a podcast, having the chance to listen and, be excited for it. It's a fun, fresh feeling. I'm really excited. So thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
So how's your week been, Cassie? What's going on?
Oh my God, Mariah, when I tell you, where do I begin? Pull out a different accent to cope with how much this week has been. Well, the week started off with daylight savings, which, you know what? Normally I kind of love daylight savings because, seasonal depression be a thing, and I like later, shout out to all the parents with kids and jobs who get up at a normal person time and they really prefer that early morning daylight. Love that for you. But oh my God, I love when it's still light out in the evening, except this time it really got me. And the other day I found myself eating dinner at 10 p.m. because my brain could not fathom eating dinner when it was daylight. So that's been a little bit of a struggle.
I have a new habit of waking up at 10, 11 o'clock every day, and I can't break out of that cycle because of the daylight savings time. I would get up at 8:30, and now 8:30 is 9:30.
Oh no.
Which leads to it being 10 o'clock.
Oh no.
And I can't. I'm glad that I'm not a normal person either, because I would never be able to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to work.
I know. I can't remember what time my spring term class is, but I know it's at a more decent hour where I'm just trying to embrace this flexible time in my life where my schedule is what I make it, because oof, future employers out there, don't take this as a sign that I can't get up in the morning. I swear I can. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's just a hard routine to build from scratch,
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like I thrive in the later hours, so I'm just built this way. But no, so what else this week though? Also started out the week, so for those who don't know, as I mentioned in the first episode, if you listened, I had founded a nonprofit called Have Access and had been running it for 6 years and then stepped down at the end of last year. And so, when you run a nonprofit out of your childhood bedroom, it takes over your life. My closet was just half nonprofit stuff. And has been for years. And so, earlier this week, I cleaned out my whole closet, and now it looks like I'm not, I don't know, it looks like I don't live here, or like I'm moving out or something. It feels so empty now. And then I also used to have like a printer on my desk and stuff, and so now I moved my TV there, and you know what? Everybody got on that second monitor life in 2020. Well, I may be 3 years late, but I'm there now. I moved my TV to my desk, and so like yesterday I was watching Gilmore Girls on my TV because like I have it connected to my laptop, so I had Gilmore Girls on my TV, and I was making spreadsheets on my laptop, and I was like, this is it. This is the peak.
Max productivity levels, like.
And to think that wasn't even a scratch of the surface of my week, because this was also the week that I accidentally became a campaign manager for a week. I briefly mentioned that last episode, but it really intensified over the coming days after that. Only to come to a grinding halt when the incumbent filed last minute and decided to run. And so then we were like, okay, well, we're not splitting votes because, like, really our main goal is to not get this, like, transphobe elected. So, yeah, we, withdrew from my friend withdrew from the race, and there went my campaign managing for a week, but it was thrilling while it was happening. all the while, it was also my last regular week of the term, because I can't just do one normal thing ever in my life. So I'm like writing like papers about lentils while I am. Nothing against lentils, just everything against
in
this
case
project.
Lentils are listening, there's nothing wrong with you.
There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the project, which I'll get to more later. But yeah, so last regular week of the term this week, so almost done with winter term. The sun came out, so I was out there, photosynthesizing, which, to me, photosynthesizing as a human is just curing seasonal depression, but also reckoning with, yep, I'm still allergic to the sun. I really glossed over that first episode, but now that the sun's back, I'm like, oh.
You feel your skin sizzling when you step outside.
Yeah, I did. Somebody was like, you guys enjoying the sun? And I was like, I don't know, when it touches me, I hiss. And they didn't really say anything back. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't the most normal thing I've ever said. And then to round out the week, yesterday we went on a little trip to visit my grandparents, which was nice because we haven't gone anywhere that wasn't doctor's appointments or the grocery store pickup area all year. So, pretty big deal to go somewhere for fun.
Right? Change of scenery.
Literally, oh my god, it was so beautiful. It was so nice, and there was still like some snow on the mountaintops. Oh, so beautiful. So nice. Oh, I love doing fun things. But yeah, so very, very busy, very chaotic, but all very good, very fun, thrilling adventure. But yeah, how was your week?
So I started out the week by cleaning out my closet as well.
Oh, nice.
I just had, I've been doing this thing where if I haven't worn it in the past season that piece of clothing is for, like winter, jackets, stuff. If I haven't worn it in the last, winter season, I'll get rid of it. Because there's no reason to, like, hold on to clothes that you just don't need. That's really it. So I put together, like, almost, like, 2 full tote bags full of clothing. And I'm not meaning, like, little tote bags. Like, these are full, like, massive size, garbage bag size tote bags. So I have them in my car that I need to go drop off to a donation center because I just want to get all of them out. I also cleaned out my car this week and took it for a wash. I never clean out my car. I mean, not like it gets dirty. Like, it doesn't get bad with, like, garbage. It just, like, there's just some extra stuff. Like, I had shelves in there for my room. And I was like, why is that there? So I just took them out. I had like some sweaters in the car that I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear this. I'll keep a sweater in here in case I need it. But then, like, if the sweater's in the floor of my car, I'm not gonna wear it. So I put that in the hamper. And my car is very small, so I don't keep a lot of stuff in there. But it's nice when it's cleaned out because it's like a nice cleaned out hamster cage. I went to see my neurologist on Wednesday this week. Got told that my chronic pain, I need to go to physical therapy for, so I'm going to be starting physical therapy soon for it, which isn't a bad thing. You know, if anything, I just want to learn some new exercises to help, like, stretch out my muscles and my bones. I also think I have a pinched nerve in my shoulder, so that will also help, and it's like every time I lift my arm, it pains me, and I can't hold a coffee cup in this hand because I feel like I don't have the strength to do it. It's probably a bigger problem, but will I get it checked out? Let's find out. I also have been heavily affected by daylight savings time. I just cannot get out of bed in the morning. It's been really rough. I feel like I get adjusted to waking up at 8:30 every day, and then like one thing, something like this, like throws me off that schedule, and then I will not be able to wake up until 8:30 for another few weeks, you know?
Yeah.
I had a market yesterday that went pretty well. I feel like I just am excited to, like we were saying about like the warm weather and stuff, because like that is like really the kickoff to like market season. I feel like in the spring and in the summer. So looking forward to like working more. I feel like it also gave me a boost to like have the inspiration to do a website update, because I really like this time of year of spring, of the like Ostara season with like, you know, like witchy holidays almost. Like I really like that like rebirth sort of mindset when it comes to the spring. So I'm definitely looking forward to putting some new stuff on my website, some new crystals, and I have these really cute little butterfly charms I used last year, so I'm going to use them again this year, and going to make some cute jewelry, and hopefully by the time you're listening to this, I'll have some stuff on my website, so please check out Mariah'sCrystalStudio.com.
Plug.
Use TCMS pod at checkout for a discount. Don't know what the percent's going to be, but I'm sure you'll see it when you put it in there.
What was it? Wait, drop the code one more time for those who didn't catch it.
TCMS pod at checkout.
Listen, not to gas up Mariah, but I will say that her stuff makes for very good like gifts. You're like, I don't know what to get my friend for their birthday, and you're like, oh, duh, Mariah makes so much cute stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, let's get it out there. That's me snapping my fingers. And I ship everywhere, so don't worry about it. I got you covered. We starting off this episode with some fun laughs, because the topic today is gonna be a bit of a rough one.
Mariah, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about everyone's favorite topic, loneliness. And especially the loneliness we're feeling now in our mid-20s.
I love to laugh to cope.
Oh yeah, laughing is a huge coping mechanism at Cassie and Mariah Studios. We be really laughing through the pain here.
Yeah, no, I think loneliness in your mid-20s it's a specific genre of loneliness. I guess I'm curious, just starting off, like, I guess, like, what kind of, like, role does loneliness play in your life right now? Like, how, like, when does it kind of come up for you? Like, what do you feel like anything in particular, like, brings it up?
I feel like anything. I feel like I mostly, if I had to pinpoint even to, like, what I mostly feel it's, like, a very nighttime feeling, you know? Like, before I go to bed, it's something I think about, or, you know, any of that time, like, weekends, like, the time that you typically would be, like, seeing people or hanging out with friends, hanging out with anybody would be the weekends. And like we said before, of having to not work, like, real conventional work hours, it's like, you know, you're really trying to adapt to other people's schedules because you're the one that has the flexibility.
Yeah.
And that is, I like that. Like, I like being able to be like, okay, you know, like, you can kind of pick the days of whether or not, like, you want to hang out with somebody or if you can and whatnot. But I feel like, it's just something that mostly hits me, I guess, when I'm already down. Like, it's just another thing that adds to the dog pile. But what about you, Cassie? When does loneliness, like, affect you or the role in your life it plays?
I mean, I feel like it's a bit similar in terms of, yeah, it's like kind of the more traditional, like evenings, weekends, which is kind of weird that that's the case, I guess, to some degree. I guess because even though I don't have a traditional schedule, I still kind of revolve my life in that way, in the sense that, like, I try not to, like, have any homework or, like, like that kind of thing to do on weekends, so that way I can, like, relax, hang out, whatever. But then it's like, it's silly that I even do that, because it's like one of my closest friends, like, her days off are Mondays and Tuesdays. So, like, why bother? It's not like I don't know. I mean, obviously I have more than one friend that I could hang out with or whatever, but it's like still, it's like, I think that's, like, kind of one of the biggest ways that, like, it's showing up in my life, is that everybody's schedule is so different, and it's like, it kind of depends, like, where I'm at as to, like, if my schedule is flexible, because I feel like when my schedule has been flexible, like, that definitely helps fight the loneliness a lot better, because I'm like, oh, I can make my schedule work for whatever their schedule is. Like, it does take, I feel like, a lot more effort, like, in your 20s, like, planning to hang out with friends than it did, like, in high school, or, like, whenever you are on the same schedule as your friends. But it's like people are working different types of jobs, and, like, I'm in school and, like, stuff like that. It just makes it so much harder to, like, find times that work. But, like, in the times when I'm flexible, like, that is helpful. But it's like, I know, like, fall term, I had, so much going on with school that it's like I wasn't flexible anymore, and I hardly saw anybody, because one of my classes coincided with craft night, which was one of my main social outings. And so it's like I hardly saw, like, I mean, like, there were people I was regularly seeing, but it's like I wasn't seeing some of, like, my best friends for, like, months. And it was just hard and frustrating. And it's like, I know, like, when I get an internship this summer, it's like, that's really gonna be, like, obviously me being busy again, because it's like, yeah, obviously when I was working, it's like that, that makes my schedule not flexible. And so that just seems to be kind of the biggest way that it shows up, is just, like, incompatible schedules. And, like, when I'm free and wanting to hang out with people, like, other people are working or busy.
Yeah, because, I mean, even, I feel like I mostly end up doing markets on weekends. So, and the prep for markets can be a lot. So usually it's like, if I have a market on a Saturday, I am prepping, like, Thursday and Friday, before. So I'm less likely to do anything on, like, a Friday afternoon or a Friday night. And yeah, my friends are, work during the week, and then, or some of them work on the weekends as well. And then, like, their days off are Mondays and Tuesdays, and I start my work on Tuesdays. And, it's definitely, like, difficult when you have friends that you only see, like, once every few months, instead of, like, friends that you would see all the time, or, people you would see all the time. And as, like, you also relate to as well, like, having friends that also have, like, boyfriends. It's like their friends, they're seeing their boyfriends, like, when they have their free time.
It's like a symptom of them, like, we just don't have enough free time. Like, people who are working full-time literally just only have, it's like, by the time they get home from work, obviously they're exhausted and don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like the weekend is so limited. It's like, yeah, it's like they, having to, like, not prioritize, or, like, in, like, a ranking kind of way, but just, like, a, it's like there's only so much time in a day. Like, if, it's like, who are you gonna see? Is it gonna be your friends, your family, your partner? It's like, there's only so much time in a day, in a week.
Yeah, and especially, like, a weekend, like you said, like, 2 days, and you're cramming all this stuff into 2 days of trying to see people and trying to, like, even up the time with everybody you have it's very difficult.
On top of just, like, resting and functioning as a human.
And needing to do, like, your errand things or your necessity things. Like, it's like you can't spend that entire time just hanging out with one person. It's like there's so many other things that have to get done.
Which, I mean, I guess that is, like, one of the things, though, about, like, Especially, like, a lot of my really solid friendships now is it's like, yeah, you can go months without, like, regularly talking or whatever, and, like, the friendship stays the same because you're literally both just busy functioning through life, but it's just, like, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to, like, figure out how to incorporate seeing your friends more. I don't know.
It's a very, like, 20s feeling of all your friends, although you're not, like, typically in school at the same time anymore, like, high school, college. I feel like a lot of people, it's like you're doing the same thing as all your other friends, really. And then once you're on the outside of that, it's like, oh, now it's hard to see people because now they work full time during the weeks. And like you said, of like on an afternoon, like you go home from work, like you're most likely not going to really go out and do anything that afternoon unless it's something imperative. But
especially for, like, my friends with, like, really physical manual labor jobs.
Yeah, right. It's like you just want to go home and, like, take a shower and, like, lay flat.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, wait, I'm sorry, have we come to the conclusion that it's actually capitalism's fault that we're lonely? I mean, I'm not surprised.
Well, I actually mentioned that in therapy, where it's a very, like, capitalist mindset to need to be doing things on the weekend because that's your free time. Because for me, I work a few days during the week. I am my own boss on the outside of that. So my weekend, like my Saturday night, can be any day of the week, really. Mm-hmm. Because I, don't have to go to work till like the afternoon on the day before. Or, I don't have to get up and get ready for a job during the week. So most of the time, I could really just do whatever I want. So like if Saturday night comes around and I'm not doing anything in particular, I kind of feel bad about it. I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here wasting my time. When really, like, oh, I see my friends during the week, or like I do small things like that during the week with other people. And like, that's my Saturday night, is going out to brunch on a Wednesday morning. Like, that's my social activity. So like, it doesn't always have to be on a Friday, Saturday, weekend day or a certain day of the week. It just can be whenever it works for you and this other person.
But that's such a good point, though, because then even though we are doing those other things, then it's like, it's almost like we've still almost blocked out that time. It's free time for hanging out, except for we got no hanging out to do.
Yeah.
That's, oh man, that one's something to process, something to journal about later.
That's something to put in like the drawer that you'll forget about later.
Yeah, that's something to block out of my consciousness. Thanks. I mean, because literally, it's like so for context, like this year, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like I haven't done anything. I mean, like all of my hanging out has been virtual. Like I've been pretty isolated, to the point where, like the most exciting things that happened to me are like my mom's physical therapy office getting a new washing machine. and so it's like catching up with my grandparents and we're like, yeah, they got a new washing machine. It's like, that's how little I've been going out. So it's like, at the beginning of that, like, right after my mom got her transplant, it's like, that was like a lot to process of like, oh, I had been at least semi-regularly doing things that felt safe. And now it's kind of like, and so then it was literally like going back into like kind of quarantine isolation period again. And now that like, it's been 3 months since she had the transplant and stuff, it's like, we're able to come out of that a little bit. And so it feels like I'm re-emerging into society. I literally am like, I feel like a little COVID baby who doesn't know how to interact with people. I'm a little bit scared, but it's like, yeah, no, it's like my plans that I have upcoming are like on Wednesday night, me and my friend are going to see the Louis Tomlinson documentary.
Yeah.
Because obviously, and then it's like, and then the week after that, I'm like going to see an author talk like at Powell's, like I mean, I guess that one happens to land on a Friday night, so I do have big Friday night plans.
She got plans.
I got plans. After that, who knows? But it's just like, I don't know, it's hard. I feel like craft night was actually very helpful when I had that, though, because that was every other week, and I just could always count on seeing other humans like that had something in common with me and interacting with them and getting out of the house.
Yeah, like, I feel like I had that going as well, with doing, like, small study dates with a friend at, like, a bookstore, you know, going there and doing homework together. And that was, like, a really good, like, consistent thing. And then, like, you know, of course, things, like, just scheduling wise, you know, especially with me, like, I feel like I mostly, like, ended up, like, not feeling well for a good, like, portion of the month of February. So you fall out of doing that routine, but it will be picked back up. We're going to be okay. I just, like, it's hard to, like, have that consistent hangout thing and you keep it going, you keep the momentum going, and then something comes in the way and stops it, and it sucks. You're like, crap, like, you're almost afraid of, like, you can't have that again, you know?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, because pre-COVID, like, me and my close friend group, we would hang out once a month, and when we would hang out that time, we would pick the date for the next month. Like, that is the level of deliberate planning it had to take, because especially, like, because of the housing crisis, like, we're spread out all over the damn place. Like, you know, it's like we're not just like a quick 15-minute drive away or anything now, and so it's like you know, it takes a lot of deliberate planning to be able to see each other be in the same place at the same time, and it's oh my God, it's hard work. But I'm not, like, obviously it's completely worth it. But
yeah, I was gonna say, it's hard work to plan that stuff, but once you plan it and once you do it, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like the best day of your life.
Literally. Well, and it's like, it's so necessary to, like, fill up your cup, to like fill up your spirit, because I think that's the thing, is it's like, obviously, like, love all of the friends and people in my life and stuff, but it's like, obviously there's something different about, like, close friendships where it's like they fill you up in, like, a more, I don't know, just like it's like a different level of closeness, and so it's like when you go months on end with only kind of seeing, like, sort of more, like, distant friends or acquaintances or whatever, it's like, obviously I love all those people, but it's like, you just, like, different friendships, like, fulfill different needs in your, I don't know, brain and heart.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, I feel like my, you know, some, like, a social aspect thing I do during the week is, like, play video games with friends. And that, like, replaces the need to, like, see people in person in a way, especially, like you said, of having friends that are so spread out from one another. You're not seeing each other in person that often unless you, like, take a trip, like, to go see them. And I think that that's where, like, you know, technology is nice, and you can use things like Xbox Live to talk to friends online.
Gamer girl.
And yeah, gamer girls, you know, they make do. And it's just wonderful. And like you said, it's like really fills your cup, and like those important interactions really like bring you so much peace and love and make you feel less alone. Because I think that's what we're all trying to do, is feel a little less lonely.
To be so lonely, Harry Styles.
To be so lonely by Harry Styles. He's so right.
He's so right. I will say, too, I think that there's just, like, ever since COVID and just, like, other stuff, there's, like, still, like, gaps that I'm trying to fill. Like, obviously, like, going to concerts all the time before COVID,
True.
like, that was a huge way of filling. Being in a room with hundreds or thousands of other people, like, that is a way of feeling less alone, and just, like, a way that it's, like, hard to put words to. And obviously, it's like, now I don't really have that, whereas before COVID, like, a fun fact about me, I've been to over 300 shows. Like, it was a very big part of my life, and now I don't have that. I feel like Craft Night. This podcast is sponsored by Craft Night. I feel like Craft Night was a little bit of that for me, on a much smaller and different scale, but I don't know. I think I'm always striving to fill the hole that, like, concerts left in my life.
That makes sense. I feel like everything is a distraction in some way or form, you know?
Oh, don't get me started on distractions, because you want to talk about loneliness. Here's the thing. When this year started, I was, like, very lonely, very sad. Like, I was, like, having to grieve not being able to see people again. Like, it was a whole thing. So what does your girl do? She makes herself so busy she don't have time to think about it. So yeah, I mean, I love a good distraction. And I mean, it's I can't tell if that's like just normal and that's how we prevent being mentally ill. Like I truly cannot tell, because I'm like, actually this is the cure to all of my problems, just being busy.
You know, I tried to do that route. That's where I started to take some online creative writing classes, because I like to write. I figured I had an idea for a story in my head, and I would have really liked to put the pen to paper, you know.
A future best-selling novel. Yes, continue.
Please. I hope by the time you're listening to this, I'm a New York Times bestseller.
Give it a month.
In the 3 weeks. In a month, yeah. You know, so I was taking these online writing courses, and I was really, really enjoying them. Until I started to fall behind on the lessons and on the assignments and on everything that these classes had contained. And I'm now a few weeks into the second class, and the third class just started last week. And I haven't even been on the classroom portal since I can't even tell you when. And it's because I was trying to fill my like loneliness time of like a distraction and with something that was going to make me feel good, like writing. And then I realized, like, oh, depression kicks in. I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So I feel like I can add so many things to my schedule, but whether or not it's actually going to stick is up to me, and that's the worst part, because I'm my worst enemy. You know, like I try to like get into new hobbies and get new things, and then I just realized that I just have a shopping addiction, and I just like to buy things. And then I'm like, oh, that buying thing doesn't fill this void that I still have in me, so now what? Like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I feel like there's so many techniques we can use to fill the void, because it's like next week's episode's on comfort media, and I definitely, especially like when mental health times get hard, it's like the only thing I have energy for is sitting and watching Gilmore Girls for the 8th time, and it's like it's hard. Staying busy only works for so long, because then you just burn yourself out. So it's like I say that, but I mean, it is legitimately something it's like I do have to stay busy enough, because obviously my friends are busy with jobs and stuff, so it's like I try to stay busy enough without like actually completely avoiding my problems.
Yeah, I get that. Like that's where like my writing classes came in, and that's where I was like, oh, I'm gonna make stuff and book markets, and like, at least with booking markets, it's a lot different than like the writing class, because a market is something I have to go to with inventory with the intent to sell. So if I don't have inventory for these markets, what's the point of even doing them? So right. I'll fill my time making inventory, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I feel complete. Like I did stuff today. And then I'm like, okay, but like I still have this lingering itch of like, I'm not like, there's something here that it's like, that I'm just looking away from.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like we're trying to create meaning just with ourselves, which like obviously is very possible to a degree, but like, I don't know, at some point it's like you do need like other people or beings in your life, because I mean that's the other big thing, is it's like I think especially for a big like first part of COVID and stuff, it's like I really leaned and relied a lot on my cat, who hasn't been with us now for over a year, and it's like that, like nothing really fills that void, when it's like it's like any time that you're feeling lonely, you can just go hug your cat. And you go hug your cat goodnight, and if you don't tell your cat goodnight, he gets pissed off at you. It's like and even like our dog passed away too during COVID, so it's just like there's literally less, and also many relatives. It's like there's been a lot of loss over the last few years, and so it's like half the time it's like you're lonely and wanting to see and be around people who you don't even have in your life anymore.
Oof. I can get that. I feel like, going through a breakup with a long-term partner is a a totally different and very unusual feeling to cope with. I think that it's something that, you know, I was thinking of earlier, trying to, you know, come up with things to discuss for the episode today. And I was thinking, like, maybe I am so self-aware of my feelings because I spent so much time with another person that I almost never had the chance to think this internally and deeply about myself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because otherwise, like, if I'm not working and doing something, I'm talking to another person, like, consistently. Right. And I didn't think about, like, how, you know, sad I was. Like, even not even, like, in any sense of just, like, in the sense of, like, being, like, mental health related. Like,
right.
I've always struggled with depression. I think that in high school it was something that was just in the forefront of my mind. And then, you know, you're with friends, so you're not thinking about it as much when you're alone. And then when you're in a relationship with somebody and you're with them all the time, it's like, okay, well, then this is another thing. You're not thinking of how, like, your mental health affects you. And then when you're out of this relationship and you have all this free time to yourself, you're like, oh, I am still this sad person that I was prior. And you still struggle with your own mental health. So what do you do to combat that? You download dating apps. And then you realize that you're repulsed by... I just threw... it's like throwing an axe at the wall right there. I'm not... Like, I realize, like, I am not the person that wants to go on dates. I would rather send fear into men's hearts than ever go on a date with them. It's like not my thing. I'm very like, I am like the wolf that walks alone because it's like too mentally ill to be with everybody else.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry I'm laughing. It's just, yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just like bluntly, literally how I feel. Like, I enjoy being alone and I enjoy my solitude, and sometimes it sucks because I'd rather be spending my time with my friends, but I felt like I got on some dating apps for like the validation of just like wanting to talk to another person that could be romantically interested in me, but then I realized that is so like some of these people are plain like pathetic, and I don't want to be your wife. I want to be your Fortnite duos partner. Like,
instantly repulsed, yes.
You know, and then you post a lot on Twitter, and that becomes like a social media validation thing.
Oh, yeah. That's
a horrible relationship to have with your phone, to be like, oh, this is the thing that brings me joy, and this is and that's it. And I'm trying to break that relationship apart too, you know, like get off Twitter every now and then.
Tweet and delete. That's my, yeah.
That's the motto.
Yeah, I do feel like some of my pits of loneliness send me into the Twitter sphere, and it's like, no, that's like truly not good. Because especially when I took a break from Twitter, like, I don't remember, it was like February or sometime, it was like very helpful to, instead of going on Twitter, I would just text a friend. And it was like so much more gratifying. It's like, God, why do I do this to myself? I don't know. It's like, yeah, there's obviously things that are and aren't in our control, but it's also just like, I don't know, sometimes you only have the energy for certain things, or I don't know.
No, yeah. Like, I feel like I got to this point where I'm like, you know what, like, I need to be the one who, like, wants this for myself. Like, I have to kind of, you know, I'm like, oh, if I have good things going on, like, I need to be equally as excited as I expect another person to be. Because otherwise, like, why am I doing any of this? Like, am I doing all of this because I want another person to pay attention to me? Like, oh, look at this cool thing I'm doing. Look at this that I'm doing. And, you know, because I guess I also am just dealing with this, like, inner struggle of, like, feeling desirable or just struggling being alone. It's something that, it's just a newer feeling to me that I'm just not comfortable with, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I feel a big part of, like, my personality is, like, I like to relate to other people, and I always like to do other people's, like, I love to, like, take on other people's hobbies, or, like, you know, experience things like that with other people. And now I'm like, oh, like, I have to do that on my own. I don't really know what I'm trying to say.
No, I mean, I completely get it. Like, 7 years is a long time of, like, being in a relationship and, like, coming of age at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're literally learning who you are as an independent, grown woman.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're so right. Like, I feel like now it's this time of, like, finding what I want to get from life, and what I want to do, and who should be part of that journey and who shouldn't be. And, you know, there's a long road ahead of me. And I only got a one-seater motorcycle, you know? Like, you enter this world alone and you leave it alone. And just developing your own hobbies, and like, learning new skills and traits, and just, like, going through the whole human experience.
Yeah.
You know, on the outside of this is very wild. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people probably be like, yeah, of course, because, like, you know, they've been doing this whole time. But having a relationship where you're coming of age together, it's a hard feeling. I'm just going through a lot. I guess just right now how I feel is experiencing being lonely truly for the first time in my life, as an adult. Because when you're a teenager, you're constantly around other people that are your age, and you're feeling the same way they are. Like, you know, through that, like, it's just, that's a thing within itself. Like, being a high schooler and, like, going through shit, and then you're also have your high school friends who are also going through the same thing at the same time. So you have people to relate to. Right now in my life, I can't relate to anybody. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not around enough people that are like me to understand this. I feel like that's a huge thing.
No, I think that totally makes sense, though, because it's like, as soon as you graduate high school, everyone starts going on their completely own path, and, like, everybody's at a different place in life. I have cousins who are younger than me who are, like, married with kids. You know, it's like nobody follows the same trajectory, and so it's like, as a result, like, even though you've got, like, close friends and stuff, it's like, you're still all at, like, different places in life, and, like, doing different things, and like, on different paths. And you know, what you were saying also reminded me too. It's like, no, I literally don't know where people our age are. I've been saying that, I swear, since I graduated high school, but I feel like it just, like, keeps becoming more true. I'm like, I don't know where anyone in their mid-20s is. So if you're out there and you're in your mid-20s, so what's up? Because half of my friends are 40. Hello to my 40-year-old friends out there.
Shout out to the 40-year-olds.
Shouts out.
I feel like even, like, the vendor friends that I make, a lot of them are in their 30s and 40s, and they already been through this time of their life. And I'm like, well, what did you do? Give me everything. Like, give me the tool. It's like, I don't have the tools in my toolkit to be dealing with what I'm dealing with, because it's the first time I'm experiencing this. And I'm not a big, like, first timer person. Like, I don't like to experience new things. Like, so going through changes is very uncomfortable. Like, change is uncomfortable. Change is another whole thing within itself that people don't like, because we're just very, like, routine creatures, I feel like. And I'm somebody where, like, every day is a new day. What? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess part of me hopes that eventually, like, routines realign at some point. I'm like, but at the same time, I guess that means that everybody has a 9 to 5 and has the same days off, and you all are in the same place in life. And I don't actually know how realistic that is for our generation, to be honest. But I don't know. I'd like to believe that at some point things will, I mean, at least I guess, like, eventually it's like, okay, eventually I'll graduate and get a full-time job and have a regular schedule, I would hope. And so it's like, okay, that makes things planning a little bit easier, because it's like, with being in school, every term is a different schedule and different workload and stuff. And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know, I guess just being in our mid-20s is constant, yeah, like you said, change and growth and changing schedules and figuring out what we're doing with our lives. I don't know. I like thinking about the future of like the current situation of like what it's like to like be lonely and try to not be lonely in your mid-20s. It's like, I don't know. I try not to think about too much about the future and like how much longer this will go on for, because the optimist in me is like, yes, everything will settle down into a routine and you'll see your friends all the time and it'll be fine. But, you know, I think the reality is it's always going to take a lot of work, and that's okay. I just need to add it to my to-do list. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, really, it's like the optimist in me knows, like, this isn't going to go on forever, but, like, the pessimist in me is like, okay, but when is it going to end? Like, okay, when is this, like, it's, you know, I in therapy, I compare, like, where I feel like I have a hard time dealing with my emotional health, because dealing with my physical health so much as a chronically ill person, it's like, I know my symptoms will resolve one day. You know, when I fractured my ankle over the summer, I know that that pain was eventually going to go away. But with emotional struggles and emotional pain, it's like, this pain will only go away if you consistently work on it. But then who knows how long it's actually going to take to go away. You know, it's like, this can't just heal with physical therapy in a few months. It's like, this could be here forever if you don't actively, like, you know, if you're not actively self-aware of it.
Right. I mean, I guess, I don't know, the physical therapy comparison, you got something going there, you know. You gotta work out your mind too.
It's just that muscle in your head, your brain.
Your brain. Oh man, yeah. I mean, on that extremely uplifting note, you know, it's like, I think we can all just collectively work together to be a little less lonely.
So the most predictable part of this show is our unpredictable segment at the end of the podcast. This week, we have one good thing and one bad thing. Pretty self-explanatory. Cassie, what's your one good thing and what's your one bad thing that happened this week?
I mean, I think there was a lot of good, you know, I talked about all the things I did this week at the top of the episode, and I think, you know, that most of those things were all good things, and, like, I don't know, it was a very fun, busy week for me, with lots of, yeah, fun stuff, good people, cleaning things out, all the good things. But really kind of the overall takeaway from all of them is that throughout the week, I feel like I was really conscientious of like my boundaries and like my limits and my needs and able to communicate them. So it's like, even though I had like, you know, accidentally taken on this role of campaign manager, I was like, okay, I know that I cannot do this for the next 2 months, you know, when we still thought the campaign was going to be a thing that was going. And so I was able to communicate and be like, hey, like, we need to like look for somebody with more experience and more time who can take this on. And so it's just like being conscious and like realizing that stuff, because I think me in the past would have just gone full steam ahead, tried to do everything myself, not asked for help, not communicated my needs, not even stopped enough to think about what I needed or wanted in the moment. And I honestly think I have, like, that personal decision-making class I took this term to, like, thank for that. And then my bad thing, I don't even want to think about my lentils project. I think that online class group projects are the bane of my existence, and it's got me, like, it's like now I just, like, I don't know, I have such negative thoughts when I see a picture of lentils now, and it's just, I feel so bad. I feel bad for the lentils because it's not their fault that that my back hurts from carrying this group project.
Give us a lentils fact. Make it worth it. Make this project worth it.
You know, lentils are actually pretty climate resilient because they grow well in dry environments. So and plus on top of that, it's like the plant protein. They're a good source of plant protein, and so they're like a sustainable like food for us to eat moving into the future. And there's still more we can do to make them even more sustainable and like get the most out of the lentils that we're growing. So, thank God I know that.
This podcast is not sponsored by Lentils, but we do thank them for their service.
Yes. How about you? What was your one good thing, one bad thing?
So, my one good thing this week, the return of warm weather, aka spring, which means that I can resume my hot girl walks.
Yes.
I'm a big walker. I love to go for walks. I'm just a dog. So I am very excited to be doing my consistent walks. I also bought some little jars that have little scrolls of different positive affirmations in them. So I like to get back into a routine of pulling cards and reading affirmations to myself in the morning to just add a nice uplifting note to start my day with.
Yeah.
And my bad thing this week. Oof. I have a story for you guys, and I could tell if you have an uneasy tummy, this may be a hard one. So, this week, I was eating a strawberry, and in that strawberry was a little dead worm.
No.
I didn't eat the worm, but it was there. And thinking about it is going to make me gag. So,
No.
I don't like bugs. I feel like I can admire them from a distance, but I can't see them up close, especially in food. So, the worm and the berry really threw me for a loop this week. In hindsight, I really wish I buried it in the yard and gave it a proper funeral instead of throwing it in the garbage. And now I feel bad for this poor dead worm. And of course I have to personify it and now feel bad for its family, doesn't know where it is, wonders if half of it's in my stomach and the other half is in the garbage. And yeah, just the worm and the berry. Poor guy. You know, you'd think I feel bad for myself of almost eating it, but no, I feel bad that that was his final resting place, was in a strawberry that I half consumed and didn't know until I was at the end that there was something wrong with it.
God, between the worm and the lentils, we're really doing a number on nature this week.
Yeah, right. Nature 0, Cassie and Mariah 2. Well, that's a wrap on this week's episode. Be sure to follow the Cassie and Mariah Show wherever you listen to podcasts, at TCMS Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and look out for new episodes every Wednesday.
Bye!